Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. Big show today for a Wednesday. World Series will recap Game 6 between the Braves and the Astros. College football will recap last night's games, look ahead to the games tonight. Same for the NBA and the NHL, Major League Soccer. We will look at the next golf tournament coming up, news and notes, election results, Masked Singer tonight, and my best bet of the day. We'll start with the World Series. As I mentioned a couple seconds ago, we talked about singers, and you know what that means. The Braves win the World Series, and they defeat the Astros in Game 6 by a score of 7-0. And the Braves win their first title in 26 years. Max Fried gets the win. Luis Garcia the loss. Top of the third, 3-run home run by Jorge Soler makes it 3-0 Braves. Top of the fifth, 2-run shot by Dansby Swanson, 5-0 Braves. RBI double Freddie Freeman, 6-0 Braves. And top of the seventh, home run Freddie Freeman, 7-0 Braves as the Braves hang on and win Game 6 and the series by a margin of 4-2. Congrats to the Braves. It's just amazing. I don't think anybody would have guessed that they were going to win the World Series after they lost Ronald Acuna Jr. for the season with the torn ACL and Marcell Ozuna due to the domestic violence issue. They go out and remake their team at the deadline. Soler, Eddie Rosario. They brought in a lot of guys. Adam Duvall. And then they have their core, Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, and Ozzie Albies. And then the veteran catcher in Darno. Jock Peterson was another good deadline addition. Max Fried, 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Tyler Matzik, 2 innings, a hit, and 4 strikeouts. And then Will Smith closed it out and gave up a hit. Meanwhile, for the Astros, Luis Garcia, 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 3 runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Then came in Brooks Raley, a third of an inning. Christian Javier, an inning and a third, a hit, 2 runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Then Blake Taylor, a third of an inning, a hit, and a run, a walk, and no strikeouts. Phil Matone, an inning and a third, 2 hits, and a strikeout. Ryan Stanek, an inning, a hit, and a run, and 2 strikeouts. Ryan Presley, a scoreless inning. And Yimi Garcia, a scoreless 9th inning. But what a year for the Braves. I mean, I just described it a couple moments ago about what they went through. Brian Snitker's a fabulous manager, well-deserved. What's next for the Braves? They're going to be good next year. If not better, they're getting Ronald Acuna back. And he is a difference-making player. He's a franchise player. But it was just amazing that the Braves went out and got all these complementary pieces to go around Freddie Freeman to replace Acuna's production, and no bigger than the World Series MVP, Jorge Soler. I mean, that was a monster addition for them at the trade deadline. And Freddie Freeman, by the way, is a free agent at the end of the year. I do think he'll be back in Atlanta. I'd be absolutely dumbfounded if he left. That would be like Pujols leaving the Cardinals, Cano leaving the Yankees. I mean, we've seen other examples of this before where a big-name franchise player leaves in free agency, but I don't think so. This is Freddie Freeman we're talking about. This is a small-market team in the Braves. Freddie Freeman's been there forever, and I ultimately think that he will stay. Meanwhile, the Astros, disappointing finish to what was otherwise a good season. Their big name player that's going to be a free agent is Carlos Correa. Do they bring him back, or does he leave in free agency? It made it seem like that Correa was 1 foot out the door with the comments he made last night, like he had a great time in Houston. Obviously, he was a part of the cheating scandal. And that could really damper his reputation a little bit, but he's a great player. I mean, he's been injured a lot, but his ceiling's very high. You're going to have teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers making runs at him, and I'm saying the Dodgers, assuming that there's a possibility of Corey Seager leaving as a free agent. So, and then also you have the Mets, who might lose Javier Baez, but they played him at second base, and they have Lindor at short. So I don't think the Mets would make a run at either of those players. And I don't see them making a run at Freddie Freeman either due to the fact that they have Pete Alonso at first base. Maybe next week at some point I'll have Julian Gilardi on the show to see they do a little bit of baseball off-season forecasting. Maybe I'll try to get Terry Cushman on as well. I haven't had Terry on in a while. So, congrats to the Braves. Unfortunate ending for the Astros. I do expect Dusty Baker to be back next year. Although the Astros pitching coach announced that he won't be back. He, I believe, is retiring. So, it's going to be interesting to see if any other changes are made with either team, as we discussed earlier. All right, now we'll move on to college football. We will recap the results from last night, and we will look ahead to the two games being played tonight. Ball State over Akron 31-25. Ball State 5-4, Akron 2-7. Ohio over Miami of Ohio 35-33. Ohio 2-7. Miami of Ohio 4-5. Eastern Michigan over Toledo 52-49. Eastern 5-3. And Toledo 4-5. Two games tonight. Maction 7 o'clock ESPNU. You got Central Michigan and Western Michigan. I project Western Michigan by 6.5 total 53-65. Meanwhile, FanDuel has this at Western by 10.5, total 67.5. I'm going to go with the podcast play here, the under. It's a really nice edge. I think this is a lower scoring game than people will expect. So I'll give you the under. And then I have a nice edge on Central Michigan as well. In the second of the two games in action tonight, 7 o'clock ESPN2, you have Northern Illinois and Kent State. I project this as a pick'em and 61.75 as a total. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 67.5. I'm going to go with another under here. I think that this is going to be another lower scoring game than people expect type of game. And I also have an edge towards Northern Illinois as well, but I do think that Kent State will win the game tonight. All right, now move on to the NBA. We will recap last night's games, and we will look ahead to a busy window for tonight. Bucks over the Pistons, 117-89. Milwaukee 4-4, Detroit 1-6. Giannis Antetokounmpo 28 points, 9 assists, and 8 boards. Jeremy Grant 21 points for the Pistons. Heat over the Mavericks 125-110. Heat 6-1. Mavericks 4-3. Tyler Herro 25 points. Luka Doncic had 33 and 5 assists. Jazz over the Kings 119-113. Jazz 6-1. Kings 3-4. Donovan Mitchell 36 points and 6 assists. Harrison Barnes 23 points for Sacramento. Suns over the Pelicans 112-100. The Suns 3-3. New Orleans 1-7. Mikal Bridges 22 points. Jonas Valanciunas had 23 and 14. Lakers over the Rockets 119-117. The Lakers 5-3. Houston 1-6. LeBron James 30 points and 10 assists. Christian Wood had 26 and 16 boards for Houston. Oof, that would have been a bad loss for the Lakers. Now I look ahead to tonight. A lot of games. Set 7, you have the Trailblazers and the Cavs. I have the Blazers projected by 3 quarters, total 215.5. Meanwhile, it is Portland by 4, total 219.5. I'm going to take the under as the play in this game, and I also have an edge towards the Cavaliers. Knicks Pacers, I project this as a pick 'em in 224.9. Meanwhile, it's Indiana by 1, total 218. I love the over in this game. I think that the Knicks offense will perform a little bit better, and then the slightest edges to the Knicks. But I think because they're home, Indiana will likely win the game. Celtics Magic, I project the Celtics by 5 and a quarter, total 224.5. Meanwhile, it is 6.5 and 216. I love the over again in this game. I think that the Boston offense will continue its success and a slight edge to the Magic. Bulls 76ers. I project the Bulls by 1.5, total 213.2. This is due to injury and Ben Simmons' absence. Meanwhile, it is Philly by 3.5, total 217.5. How is Philly favored without Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris? How? Explain to me how. Like, come on now. I have a 5-point edge on the Bulls. I'm taking the Bulls as the podcast play. And I also have a nice edge on the under, too. Raptors Wizards. I project the Wizards by 7, total 213.7. Meanwhile, it is 3.5 and 214. I'm laying it with the Wizards. No Pascal Siakam still, even though they've been playing really well without him. And I think that this is a good spot for the Wiz. 7:30 on ESPN, you have the Hawks and the Nets. You would think that this is going to be Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy on the call. I project Brooklyn by 2 and a quarter, total 211.85. Meanwhile, it is 5 and 217. I really like the under. No Kyrie still. Both of these teams have actually been okay defensively, so I'm going to go under. Second choice of the Hawks. Next up at 8 o'clock, you have the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. I project the Nuggets by 1.5, total 212.1. Meanwhile, it is Memphis by 1.5, total 212.5. I'm going to take Denver. No Dylan Brooks still. I think they'll win straight up at even money. And I have a very slim edge on the under. Clippers Timberwolves. I project the Clippers by 1. Total 205.7. Meanwhile, it is Minnesota by 1. Total 215. I really like the under. Both these teams have been playing good defense this year. And I have a slight... Actually, no, it's not a slight lean. It's actually to the Clippers. And I like them straight up at minus 106. 8:30, Mavs Spurs. I project the Mavs by 2, total 213.25. Meanwhile, it's Mavs by 1.5, total 216.5. Under has been a very, very popular play so far on the show, and I'm going to continue to do it. I think that these two offenses have really found themselves yet, so I'm going to go with under. 10 o'clock, ESPN, Hornets Warriors. I project the Warriors by 5, total 213.15. If I had to guess, announcers for this game, I would say like Ryan Rucco and Doris Burke or Mark Jones and Doris Burke. Dave Pash, we haven't seen. I don't think I recall seeing Dave Pash on a game yet this year. Like I said, Warriors by 5 till 2:13-15. Meanwhile, it is 6 and 225.5. All right, so another under. I think the total is a little high, and I have a slight edge, amazingly enough, to the Charlotte Hornets. And last but not least, you have the Pelicans and the Kings. Because of injuries and home court advantage, I project the Kings by 10 3/4 still to 18.7. Meanwhile, it is 5.5 and 218.5. I'm laying it with the Kings. I absolutely love this pick. No Brandon Ingram, no Zion Williamson. And I also have a slight edge to the over in this game as well. Okay, now we'll move on to the NHL, where I will recap the games from last night and look ahead to a smaller window for tonight. Maple Leafs over the Golden Knights 4-0. Maple Leafs 5-4-1. Vegas 4-5-0. Number 3 started game with a goal and 2 assists, Mitch Marner. Number 2 started game with 26 saves on 26 shots, Jack Campbell. And the number 1 started game with 2 goals, Austin Matthews. Canadians over the Red Wings 3-0. Canadians 3-8-0. Red Wings 4-4-2. Number 3 started game with 22 saves on 22 shots, Jake Allen. Number 2 started game with a goal, Josh Anderson. Number 1 started game with a goal and 2 assists, Nick Suzuki. Flyers over the Coyotes 3-0. Flyers 5-2-1. Arizona 0-9-1. The number 3 started game with 31 saves on 34 shots. Karel Vejmelka. 2 goals against. Last one was something else, so 31 saves on 33 shots. Number 2 started game with 29 saves on 29 shots, Carter Hart. Number 1 started the game with a goal and assist, Sean Couturier. Wild over the Senators 5-4 in overtime on a game winner by Kirill Kaprizov. That was his first goal of the year, amazingly enough. 6-3-0 over the Wild. Ottawa 5-3-1. Number 3 started game with a goal and assist, Drake Batherson. Number 2 started game with 2 goals, Mike Foligno. Number 1 started game with a goal and assist, Kirill Kaprizov. Jets over the Stars 4-3 in a shootout. Jets 5-2-2. Stars 3-4-2. Number 3 started game with the goal and assist, Tyler Seguin. Number 2 started game with the goal, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Number 1 started game with the goal, Josh Morrissey. Predators over the Flames 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Matt Duchene. Nashville 5-4-0. Calgary 6-1-2. Number 3 started game with the goal and assist, Matt Duchene. Number 2 started game with the goal, Matt Tkachuk. Number 1 started game with 38 saves on 40 shots, Jose Saro. Canucks over the Rangers 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by JT Miller, the ex-Ranger. Vancouver's 4-5-1. Rangers 6-2-2. Number 3 started game with 2 goals, JT Miller. Number 2 started game with the goal and assist, Artemi Panarin. Number 1 started game with 2 assists, Connor Garland. Ducks over the Devils 4-0. Ducks 4-4-3. Devils 4-3-1. Number 3 started game with 28 saves on 28 shots, John Gibson. Number 2 started game with a goal and 2 assists, Ryan Getzlaf. Number 1 started game with 2 goals, Troy Terry. And the Sabres lose at the Sharks 5-3. The Sharks 6-3-0. Buffalo 5-3-1. Number 3 started game with the goal, Ryan Merkley. Number 2 started game with the goal and an assist, Mario Ferraro. Number 1 started game with 2 goals and an assist, Thomas Ertl. Now we look ahead to tonight, 8:30 on ESPN+. You have the Hurricanes at the Blackhawks, so a home and home for those 2 clubs. Carolina's minus 164, Chicago's plus 136, over under 6. Overs minus 105, unders minus 115. Hurricanes minus 1.5 is plus 152. Blackhawks plus 1.5 is minus 188. For this game, I'm going to go with the Canes in regulation at minus 110. I think they're better than the Blackhawks. They destroyed them the other night. I think that they will do it again. So give me the Canes in regulation at minus 110. Predators-Oilers on ESPN+. Edmonton minus 215, Nashville plus 176, over under 6. Overs minus 122, unders even money. Nashville plus 1.5 is minus 144. Edmonton minus 1.5 is plus 116. I'm going to go Edmonton puck line minus 1.5 at plus 116. Nashville in the second of a back-to-back. I don't know if we'll see Jose Sara, so I'm going to say Edmonton by multiple goals. 9 o'clock ESPN+, Blue Jackets Avalanche. Avs are minus 184. Columbus is plus 152. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Blue Jackets plus 1.5 is minus 160. Colorado minus 1.5 is plus 130. I'm going to go contrarian under minus 104. 5.5. I think that Elvis Merzlikins and Darcy Kemper will put on good performances, so I'm going to go with the under there. And last but not least, 10 o'clock on TNT, the Blues and the Kings. I feel like this matchup was on TV already this season. The Blues are minus 130. The Kings are plus 108. Over under 5.5, minus 110 each way. Blues minus 1.5 is plus 184. Kings plus 1.5 is minus 230. Tough one. I am going to go with, let's go with the over. I think there'll be more games in this, or more goals in this game than people think. So give me over 5.5 at minus 110. All right, now we'll move on to Major League Soccer. There was a game last night, so we will go over that result fairly quickly. As LAFC and Vancouver ended in a 1-1 draw. Vancouver scored first on a goal by Christian Dejome in the 14th minute, and LAFC ties it in the 47th minute on the goal by Mamadou Fall. As it's a 1-1 draw. I predicted the draw, and here we have it. And tonight we have 4 games. 7:30, you have Club Football Montreal against Houston. So, an out-of-conference matchup for these two clubs. Montreal's minus 220. Houston's plus 490. Draw plus 330. I'm going to lay to minus 220 with Montreal. Next up, the Red Bulls and the Braves, or Atlanta. I have Atlanta in my head. The Braves just won the World Series. I apologize. So that is a really good Eastern Conference match. Red Bulls at home at minus 115. Atlanta's plus 310. Draw plus 220. I'm going to go with the draw at plus 220. 9 o'clock, Austin and Kansas City. Oh boy. This is a game that not many people are going to be watching. Unless you have money on it. KC plus 115, Austin plus 195, draw plus 240. I'm taking KC plus 115. And last but not least, 10:30 on ESPN2, Salt Lake and Portland. A very interesting Western Conference game. For sure. Real Salt Lake minus 110, Portland plus 250, draw plus 260. I'm going to go with another draw here at plus 260. I think these teams are going to play a good game, so I'm going to go draw at plus 260. All right, now we'll talk golf. And the next PGA tournament. And that tournament will be the OHL Classic. It all begins at 5 to 7 tomorrow morning. Notable tee times. 6:55, Walter Zalatoris, Danny Lee, Trey Merritt, Chris Kirk, Roger Sloan. 7:06, Harold Varner III, Patrick Rogers, Ian Poulter, James Hahn, Ryan Moore. 7:17, Taylor Hogue, Scotty Scheffler, Camilo Vegas, Adam Putnam. 7:28, Joel Dahman, Ches Ravi, Andrew Landry, Charles Howell III. 739, Brett Horschel, Ryan Palmer, Tony Finau, Brooks Koepka. 750, Joaquin Niemann, Justin Thomas, Shane Lowry, Ricky Fowler, Tyrell Hatton. 801, Tyler Duncan, Seamus Power, Hudson Swafford. 812, Justin Rose, Matt Jones, Adam Long. 823, J.J. Spawn, Keith Heacock, Russell Knox, Maverick McNeely, Emiliano Grillo. 834, Matthew Norland, or Henrik Norlander. I'm thinking of CBS Sports' own Matt Norlander from the Eye on College Basketball podcast. It's just the same last name. Luke List. 845, Vincent Willey, Mito Pereira, Curtis Thompson. And then into the later session, 1135, Alex Loren, Jonathan Vegas, Ryan Henley, Brendan Steele, Brock Stewart. 1146, Doc Rabin, Sepp Straka, Dylan McCarthy, Brian Harmon, Charles Schwartzel, Matt Fitzpatrick. 1157, Bryce Garnett, Sam Ryder, Doug Gim. 1208, Dylan Fratelli, Lucas Donald, JT Potson, Nate Taylor. 1219, Zach Johnson, Sergio Garcia, Michael Thompson, Abraham Anser, and Carlos Ortiz. 1230, Victor Hovland, Keith Mitchell, Lucas Herbert, Gary Woodland, Patrick Reed. 1241, Brendan Todd, Brent Snecker, Patton Kazir, Ryan Morensky, or Richie Morensky. Ryan Morensky's of the Blue Jackets. And Chengsun Pan. 1252, Adam Hadwin, Kevin Streelman, Kyle Stanley, Adam Schenk, Christian Ziedenhout. 103, Scott Stallings, Keegan Bradley, Camp Triangle, Taylor Gooch, Scott Piercy. 114, no one really of note there. And then 125, nobody of significance either. So, going to FanDuel for the odds for this tournament. Big tournament. The Worldwide Technology Championship. My pick. I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler at 32-1. He had a good Olympics. I feel like he was in a good mojo. Good spot for him. I would love to take my boy Brooks Koepka at 35-1. He hasn't really come through. So I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler 32-1 to win the Worldwide Technology Championship, a.k.a. the OHL Classic. News and notes time. I'm going to try to be quick with the segment because I have to do a couple of other segments. Peter DeBoer says that William Karlsson will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a broken foot. That's a big loss for the Golden Knights. The big story from yesterday from a sports standpoint, Henry Ruggs III will be charged with DUI arresting in death after fatal car crash yesterday in Las Vegas. That's so sad. Thoughts and prayers to the victim and the family. The Raiders released Henry Ruggs after this incident. It's just unfortunate. And I think there's going to be more to come out of this, unfortunately, but is just a sad situation. That is a big loss for the Las Vegas Raiders, as Ruggs really was breaking out this year. Couple trades and releases. Melvin Ingram to the Chiefs for a 6th-round pick. Good pickup for KC. Charles Omiyale to the 49ers. Future late-round pick going to Houston. Packers released Jalen Smith after signing him last month. Something's up with Jalen Smith. I think it's crazy that he was cut from Dallas. He goes to Green Bay. Green Bay cuts him. Maybe he just isn't the same. There's more to that. Phillip Rivers open to the Saints, as he hasn't heard from the Saints, but would listen if the team is interested. Kansas Jayhawks forward Jalen Wilson suspended 4 games after being arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. We spoke about college basketball yesterday. The Illinois player being suspended. I have not seen the schedule yet, but if Kansas has some interesting matchups coming up, then this could come back to bite them. Some NHL stuff. Wild general manager Bill Guerin and Penguins owners Mario Lemieux and Ron Burkle will be named as defendants in a sexual assault lawsuit. So, that's interesting. Bo Horvat calls out the NHL Players Association. We're definitely going to have to sit down and make sure the right people are running it. Oof. And this is obviously referring to the Kyle Beach thing. And the Jets general manager spoke up about Kyle Beach and says how sorry he is to Kyle and that he suffered as horribly as he did. Obviously, he saved his job. And Joe Quenneville did not. Pascal Siakam could return in 2 weeks. So that's good news for the Raptors as they're 5-3, and they could be only getting better. Chris Middleton has COVID-19 as he's entered the league's health and safety protocols. Return timetable unclear. The college football playoff results came out last night. I'm going to quickly go over them. This is what we're going to be basing it on going forward. Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, Oregon, Ohio State is your top 5. Cincinnati rounds out the top 6. Then it's Michigan, Oklahoma, Wake, and Notre Dame, your top 10. 11 through 15, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Auburn, Texas A&M, BYU. 16 through 20, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Kentucky, NC State, Minnesota. And at 21 through 25, Wisconsin, Iowa, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Pitt. So these are interesting rankings. I like that Cincinnati is in the top 6. Oregon should be ahead of Ohio State because they beat them head-to-head. Michigan State, you can make a case, should be number 2. I mean, they beat Michigan. Great win. Alabama, what's their good win? They're number 2 based on name recognition and the head coach. That is bullshit. I think that Michigan State should be ahead of Alabama because they're undefeated. Alabama's not. And what's Alabama's best win? Miami? Like, come on. And then they lost to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's good. That's arguably the best team we've seen so far. And they beat Ole Miss. I'll give them that. But Michigan is a better win than anything Alabama has. That's awful. That's just favoritism towards Alabama. That's what that is. The college football playoff chairman on Cincinnati, Notre Dame was a really impressive win. Who else did they beat? That's my issue with Cincinnati. They only have one win against a big-name team. That's good. Notre Dame is pretty good. They should be ahead of Notre Dame in the rankings. If I'm not mistaken, Notre Dame has 1 loss. Notre Dame still has a chance to make the playoff. I believe they only have one loss. Let me double check here. And they do. They're 7-1. So Notre Dame, I think, is the best outside looking in team to sneak up into the top 4 if they win out. Because I don't think their schedule is all that hard. Clay Helton gets a new job at Georgia Southern. I think that's a good hire for Georgia Southern. I think Georgia Southern is going to be relevant because of him, and he'll make them a pretty decent team in the Sun Belt. Freddie Freeman wants to stay in Atlanta. It means everything to put on the Braves uniform. Hopefully I can continue to do that. And like I said, I think there's no chance he leaves. Michael Thomas has a new injury, as he has a new issue with his ankle, and his return date is unpredictable. He might not even play all year. Michael Thomas, that situation's just a mess, and somehow the Saints are 5-2. Sean Payton's got to win Coach of the Year. If they make the playoffs with Winston and Thomas out, I'm sorry, you have to hand Coach of the Year to Sean Payton. Couple NBA things. The league is discussing take fouls as the competition committee encouraged the league to develop rules that disincentivize transition take fouls. Simmons refusing 76ers help as there's frustration mounting while Philly guard won't accept off-court help from the team. He obviously wants out. And then the last one is that Damian Lillard really wants Draymond, as Lillard is obsessed with the idea of bringing Draymond to Portland amid team's continued trade interest. I mean, we'll see about that. Draymond, I don't think, has that much value as he did a while ago, and he's not the same player. So I don't think that's a difference maker for the Blazers by any stretch of the imagination. All right, now we'll talk election. We have to start in New Jersey. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Various different sources are saying various different results. News 12 New Jersey, I think, has been the best so far at reporting because they are further ahead in their projections than CNN and Fox News. Right now, Jack Chettarelli is projected in the lead by News 12 New Jersey, not by percentage, by number of votes, 1.1K approximate votes, with 98% of the vote in. And a reporter on News 12 New Jersey said this morning that the votes that have yet to be counted are Essex County votes and votes in Passaic County, most notably Patterson. Patterson is a blue city in Passaic County. Essex, as we know, is a blue county. Newark and Harrison. And you have the Oranges there as well. And some of the other Newark suburbs as well. So this is by no stretch of the imagination, even though Chettarelli has the lead, it's a very slim lead, 1.1K votes. They're each at 50%. 98% estimated. There is no way this is over. This is far from over, in my opinion. I think ultimately Murphy will come through because, as I mentioned, it's blue areas, that's votes that are missing. So I do expect Murphy to pull through here in New Jersey. And there was a point where Chettarelli had the lead in Passaic and Bergen counties, and that would have been monstrous, but Murphy took those counties back overnight. Jack has leads in some other counties like Atlantic that you wouldn't expect. And Burlington, what I thought was a wild card county, with some Camden suburbs in that county. Gloucester County is red too, and that was a very up in the air county for me as well in Jersey. So if we have more results, obviously we'll bring them to you on the podcast. And by the way, CNN's projection had Murphy by 2,000 votes, each at 49.6%, with 85% of the vote in. New York, we have a mayor, and it is Eric Adams. We knew this was going to happen. He absolutely destroyed his competitor, Curtis Sela. I said yesterday this was going to be a blowout. Eric Adams has a very good reputation. I think he'll do a fine job. I think he is going to do better than de Blasio. I really do. I'm not a fan of de Blasio. But we don't know how Adams will do, but I think he'll be a better mayor than Bill de Blasio, because I just thought de Blasio was just bad. And now they're talking about de Blasio running for New York governor. That would be just stupid. And I think that there are Democrat candidates for New York governor next year that are better than Bill de Blasio. And then Virginia, we didn't know who was going to win that race until 12:30 last night. And the winner was Glenn Youngkin, the Republican nominee, over Terry McAuliffe. So good for Youngkin. That's a big win for the Republican Party. The percentages were at, I believe, around 50%, 50.8 to 48.2 or something like that, percentage-wise of the votes. And the difference for Virginia was all the suburbs that were usually blue had flipped the red, and Youngkin did a great job campaigning in those areas, and I think that was the difference with the Virginia gubernatorial election. So obviously, if you have any New Jersey results and updates, we'll provide you them here on the podcast. Now we're going to do Masked Singer. It is back tonight after a 1-week hiatus. The Group B final is tonight. Word on the street is that Joel McHale returns as a guest panelist. So at least there's confirmation for the time being is that he's not somebody on the show. So we have Banana Split. We have the Caterpillar, the Mallard, the Queen of Hearts. So this is a strong Group B. And it looks like we have a wild card coming to the fray, which is a beach ball. And all the ads that I've been seeing for this episode is that the take it off buzzer keeps being shown. Is this finally the week? And it's like Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg being all excited that she thinks she knows who somebody is. So maybe it's the wild card. Maybe it's the beach ball, and she's convinced. So it's going to be very interesting on this episode. The Caterpillar was really, really good. He was the wild card 3 weeks ago. We haven't seen this group in 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we saw Group A. And then the Mallard is very fun to watch. Queen of Hearts, I think, is phenomenal. And I think Banana Split is a phenomenal duo as well. Although we do not know who the Banana is, unless if it's Bret Michaels again. That'd be kind of ironic because he was the Banana last time, and it's just the split that we're supposed to guess on. So it's gonna be interesting, and I'm gonna say the person that goes home is either gonna be the wild card beach ball, the Mallard, or the Caterpillar. And like I said, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who goes home. And I'm going to say it's the beach ball, and it's going to be because of the take it off buzzer. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I love the Sacramento Kings minus the points against the Pelicans. Betting against the Pelicans is just the move right now. I'm 0 for 2 on best bets this week. So I need to get a little bit of ground here. So I'm going to take 1 unit, land on Sacramento minus the 5 at home against the Pelicans. All right, so there you have it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping the college football, NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer games. Look ahead to the games throughout all the sports. I mean, Major League Soccer is not on tomorrow, but the other 3 are. You have Thursday Night Football between the Jets and the Colts. No more baseball, unfortunately. We'll recap Mass Singer. We'll talk more election if we have results to come in from New Jersey gubernatorial, and then news and notes and best bet. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.